Hey Ford fans, I know I'm a little late dropping this video, but trust me, it's been worth the wait. Back in October of 2024, I was flown out to Charlotte, North Carolina for one of the most unforgettable weekends ever, thanks to Friends of Ford. I landed early that afternoon and was picked up straight from the airport. After settling into my hotel, we all loaded up onto a bus and headed to one of the coolest places a Ford enthusiast could go, the RTR Factory. And get this, our tour guide for the evening was none other than Vaughn Gittin Jr. himself. He showed us around the entire facility. We learned the history of RTR, saw his race cars from back in the day, some of his trophies, and even got a sneak peek at the future of RTR, including behind the scenes builds.
This is a 2010 RTR. This is the car that we debuted the brand with, along with this car, which I'll get into in a moment. So this is our prototype. This is what we launched the brand with. And for those of you that don't know much about RTR, is basically my vision of a new generation of Mustang. So my first Mustang, that '05 there, when I got that car, I was an import guy. Like I had mentioned, I built my first 240SX or Sylvia, as many know it, S13 Coupe. And I was in that scene. I was not a Mustang guy. I was like 5.0, too slow. Like I was against it. My dad was a hot rodder. Always just American muscle cars my whole growing up. And, once I got this car and I like understood torque, I got connected with the community. And like, I was like, why did I miss out on all of this? And I reflected it back to the experience that I was having with the car when I was trying to hook it up was there was nothing that really spoke to me in the aftermarket. It was all like stuff that my grandfather or my father would want. Like it was very older mindset. Same approach like they did in the 70s, right? 5-spoke wheels, window louvers, racing stripes over the hood. And it just didn't speak to me. And I also realized that I really didn't resonate with what I perceived as a Mustang owner. And so once I got the first car and I fell in love with its handling and the power and the torque, Josh, could you turn that down a little bit or ask somebody to? And so I was just like, wow, I missed out on this. Why is others missing out on that? And that's kind of when I had this moment of like revelation of like, I wasn't just being a hard-headed teenager, like not wanting what my dad had, but I didn't feel it. Like the vibe wasn't there for me. And around this time, Mustang was still very much like a older generation vehicle. And so, we got that car in '05, and I'll tell you the history of that in a minute. And then from like '06, '07, I'm getting ingrained in the culture. And then '08, I'm like, I got to do something. Like my passion of wanting to make Mustang cool again inspired me to basically dream up what ultimately was RTR. And so in 2009, I went to Ford. They had showed the concept of the new 2010 Mustang, which is this car. And I went to Ford with this car on paper. And I remember I'm 29 years old and I walk in with, that's a Raptor fender testing, don't worry. And so so I walk into this room, right? And it's me by myself with a stack of papers, and it's this conference room, like freaking like 30 people at Ford. And I walk in and I'm just like, whatever, blah, 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 and some of the people in the room knew me from our relationship in motorsport. And others didn't. And I basically just said, look, this is what we need to do to make Mustang resonate with the younger demographic. And I told them my story and why I was here and all that. And they all loved it. And they looked at me and they're like, Vaughn, if we try to do this, it won't be this, but we will support you, right? We'll support you to figure this out. And, what that meant was, getting data, the race car that, allowing my race cars to be RTRs and they were very supportive within reason, right? So I left that meeting. I'm like, oh, looks like I'm starting a car company. I had no freaking idea how I was doing this. I was just a dude with a dream and not a pocket of money. So long story short, I worked with a group to basically make this vision to reality. And that became our first prototype. And so it's a very simple package, dealer installed package, graphics, wheels, front chain splitter, rocker splitters, rear spoiler, some floor mats, badging, things like that. But just enough to just change the car up and be something that I like, wow. The thing that is like was the success of this car was like, wow, I wasn't a Mustang guy, but I like that, you know? And so this car I gave to my father before he passed away, and he made me promise to keep it for my firstborn son. So, or my firstborn child, which is Gunner, who's 5. So thank you, Dad. I have to hold on to this for another 12 years.
One of the coolest surprises, T-Pain's custom convertible Mustang was being built in the shop. Wild. We ended the night with dinner and great conversations, even with Vaughn himself, and I even jumped on a racing simulator for a bit. But honestly, the highlight of the night, drifting in the parking lot with Vaughn in his actual race car. No words, just pure adrenaline.
We don't fail those motors. We literally take them out because we feel bad. Like, they will do that forever. It's crazy. The 5 liter is unbelievable. So that's got a Vortex supercharger on it. It's making probably 800 at the tire, just to give you an idea. It's also the T56 Magnum, straight out of the catalog.
Nice.
So this is a very, like, the body and the chassis are the same as the FD cars, but the drivetrain is toned down because the race motors have like a time limit on them, and they're extremely expensive to run. But this we can just do it all day. So
Thank you.
Hell yeah.
Thank you. That was amazing.
Let's go get some dinner, y'all.
All right.
The next day was more relaxed, but still filled with purpose. We spent time building relationships and talking about the future of Friends of Ford. Only 11 of us were invited to this experience, and they told us they saw us as leaders in the community. It was an honor. They encouraged us to host our own local events, which led to things like the Beach Bash I hosted recently, and so many other amazing Friends of Ford events that took place across the country this summer. That night, we had a group dinner, and we got to meet Haley Deegan, which was a cool surprise. The final day started early and with a bang. We hopped on the bus and headed out to Charlotte Motor Speedway for my first ever NASCAR race. Ford didn't just give us tickets, they gave us VIP pit passes. We got to walk the pits, watch the crews prep the cars, and even walk out onto the track before the race started. I even got to sign my name on the track. Seriously unreal. There was a live concert, the energy was off the charts, and we even visited Todd Gilliland's trailer, met him and talked with him before the race. Super chill dude. Then came the driver intros, the national anthem, finally, we took our seats right above the pits, front and center for the action. It was a day I'll never forget. After the race, we capped off the weekend with a visit to Vin Gig's garage. If you don't know who he is, pause this video and go check him out on Instagram or YouTube. He's the real deal. We met him at the RTR Factory earlier in the trip, and he invited us to hang at his place. We toured around his property on ATVs and side-by-sides, checked out his animals, and explored some beautiful North Carolina countryside. But inside his garage, man, it was like a Ford museum on steroids. He had a Ford GT, a GT40, a Shelby GT500, a Daytona Coupe, you name it. He even has a Mustang GTD now, though it wasn't there during our visit. I even climbed into a GT40 cockpit, and at 6'3", that was a tight squeeze. Worth it though. We spent hours just hanging out, sharing stories, and bonding over our love for cars.
Door on you.
I don't know that I would even be able to.
I'm not gonna do the door test for you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
There you go.
Now you can close the door.
I didn't know if you wanted an 8-year-old in there with you.
Okay, watch out, watch
now
out.
you have one. So I actually made the mistake and sold this car once.
See how you get
I
out now.
honestly don't know that I could drive this car.
So when I bought it the first time, didn't have any AC.
Sit your butt up.
It was dead summer.
Pick your
It was
leg out.
End of July.
Take your other leg out.
All right.
There it is. Good work.
This is not an original 67. It's a brand new car. It was a secret project for about 8 years that was in works with Shelby by a company called High Tech Legends. So this is a fully licensed, titled and registered as of 1967 Shelby GT500. This is bin number 2. They've only built 5. They're planning on building, they were trying to build 2 a month. They're only doing about 1 a month right now. Maybe 1 every other month. But this one's outfitted with a 5.0 charge.
CBS. That'll burn.
So it's built just like the original car. So it's all metal body, fiberglass hood, fiberglass trunk, just like the original GT500, but obviously a little bit more.
How many people this turn their necks, especially when you
This
bring it to
is
the show?
probably the most attention-getting car I've ever had, other than the GT.
Because guys, I know they hear that, then they're like, "What?" And they pop the hood and
Exactly.
show, and they're just like,
So here's the story, though. These cars now, if you order one, it gets spec with that one. So these are getting Predators. The Predator motor was not a crate motor option when this one was built, so that's why they did the 5.0.
Nice.
Now, the car has full independent suspension front and rear, too. So I've done mountain driving in it, and it is heavy.
"Yeah,
It just pulls everything.
yeah." And then you can torque your way through every corner.
Everything. Now, check this out. If you look at the lines on this car, there is not an unperfect amount of gap on any of these panels. It is unbelievable how these are all hand built in South Africa, and then they get shipped here without a motor and transmission, and then they finish it off actually right down the
A
street.
big sign.
This entire weekend wouldn't have been possible without Friends of Ford. It was more than just a trip, it was an experience. I made friendships, created unforgettable memories, and was reminded just how strong the Ford community really is. So if you've been on the fence about joining Friends of Ford or showing up to one of their events, this is your sign. Come join the ride. And until next time, roam beyond limits.